I'm John Smith, head wrestling coach, Oklahoma State University. The video we're going to cover today is on defensive skills on our feet, meaning defending our high crotches, defending our single legs, a leg in the air, and probably several different positions. One of the things I'm a strong believer in about defense is the fact that I feel like for you to be effective on your feet, scoring points on your feet, that you first have to have good defensive skills, meaning that you feel confident in your defense, that you can get your hips back, that you can score when your opponent takes a bad shot. I think without that, there's going to be a sense of insecurity there that's going to affect your offense. So with a great defense, I truly believe comes a great offense. And I think they both are extremely important, but we first have to develop that defensive skill. So with this video, I hope you take a few techniques from here that's going to make a difference for you as an athlete or a difference for you as a coach. When we talk about defense on our feet, we must remember the first line of defense we have is our head. Next comes our hands, our forearms, and then obviously our hips. Unfortunately, a lot of wrestlers, they think that defense is defending with their hips, but our head comes first. I mean, a lot of times you can block off your opponent and never allow them to get to your legs just because of your head position. And obviously your hands and your forearms come next, and then last is hips. So it's real important that when we're wrestling and we're in a wrestling position here, that we really focus on our head position, keeping our head in there. And we can move it up and down. The guy starts to change levels, we can move it up and down. You see it on a lot of videos of good wrestlers that have a good tendency of bending their knees, changing levels, and never really giving a guy a chance to even get close to his legs. And I think one of the things that we do forget is that our hands and our elbows are also a big part of our defense, of posting our guy out there when he takes a shot, using our elbows and our forearms to block him off and move him down, and making sure that we use those lines of defense that we do have before they even get to our hips. But against a good wrestler, occasionally you're going to find yourself in a position where a guy's in on a deep high crotch or in on a deep single leg, and that's where it's going to make the difference. So a lot of times in some of your bigger matches is the fact that can you defend from there? Once you're beaten, the guy's in deep, are you going to be able to scramble out of that position? So there's a lot of different things that we're going to discuss, but just keep in mind that head is extremely important. That can be one of the most powerful defensive weapons I have is my head. And obviously my hands. Remember that a good defensive wrestler, or you're put in a situation where you have to defend. Remember, good wrestlers that can defend well are always keeping their hands up. Meaning when I'm wrestling, my hands are always up. They're always up in position. We get a little bit lazy and we start dropping a hand. One hand goes low, I don't care for that. I want my hands up. I want to be able to touch, grab, do what I need, elbow control, inside control, but also have my hands up. And you're going to find yourself always blocking off and find yourself in a lot better position. Working with me today is my brother, four-time national champion, assistant coach here at Oklahoma State, Pat Smith. Pat, we're going to work on some just a few drills here. What I mean by head position, talk about that first line of defense, a head position. Working with me today is my brother, four-time national champion, assistant coach here at Oklahoma State, Pat Smith. Pat, we're going to work on some just a few drills here. What I mean by head position, talk about that first line of defense, a head position. All I'm going to have Pat do is shoot some high crotches, some single legs, and all I want you to do is watch my head of how I'm always placing it in position to keep him from shooting. He's going to start hitting high crotches here, always keeping my head in position, making contact here, and I'm also using my hands as well. Okay, and obviously what we do from here, is going to be post him and things like that. He's shooting single legs, I can always block down, bending my knees down when I feel him penetrate, bending my knees down as he swings to a single, bending my knees down and blocking him with my head, rather than letting him change levels and then me start my defense from here. He gets through my hands, changing levels and getting through, and now starting my defense. Now, there's no question about it, your opponent's going to get to that position some of the time. But if you learn to use that head, always learn to use your head and your hands when he starts to penetrate. and changing levels, keeping those hands down, blocking down, whether you're hitting a high crotch or a single leg. Go ahead, single, changing levels, keeping that head position and trying to keep that head to head, and sometimes you might even be head to chest, okay? But what we're going to cover the majority of is when our opponent does get to our leg. And we're going to start with the high crotch. He's beaten me to the position, okay? There's a few things that we're always going to want to focus on here. And the one thing is we always want to try to get the head back to the middle regardless of the shot. If it's possible, so always try to get the head back to the middle. So when he takes a high crotch shot and he's beating me in this position here, okay? Go ahead and shoot. Okay, in this position, I end up getting here, okay, and I feel like I'm beat, okay. As far as him being in deep, he's got my leg sucked in. What I want to do from this position defensively is I want to bump him, okay, and I want to bump him to get his head back in. So all I do is bump, and I rotate as I bump, I pull my hips back, and I create that space. Now I just place his head right to the middle, okay, and as I place his head to the middle, I'm dropping this leg back. Extending this leg back, okay, right here, all right? Now, you're going to find in a lot of these positions I'm going to work today that we're going to end up right here, okay? And we got to keep in mind that anytime the leg we're attacking, we always want that leg to be long. And I like to put shoelaces to the mat, okay, on the leg that he's attacking. So from this position, and that allows me to really get that hip pressure that I need to get. When you feel a guy that has strong hips, most of the time he's got strong hips because he's laying that whole leg flat and that shoelaces are to the mat and he's dropping that hip in. Okay? Now this is a butt drag situation where we're always going to anchor on here. Anchor to the thigh, okay, or right below his butt here. Okay? But we're anchoring on. And now we're going to start to move our hips around the body. And as I start to move around, I make contact at all times with my hips and keep that pressure on him. Okay, short steps. We get in a habit here, go ahead and come up, of getting in a hurry to want to get around our opponent quickly. Remember, when you're walking around him to score points, take those short steps, short choppy steps to keep that good hip pressure. Don't let off your hips to get around. Keep the pressure on and continue to score. So from here, again, short steps, pressure, right here. Coming back under the arms, okay? And busting him all the way to his hip, okay? So again, on the high crotch, our opponent's hit, right here. He's beating me to the position, whether it's inside control or elbow. I'm going to bump, and as I bump hard, I pull my hips back quickly. So I create that space. Head goes to the middle. As I take that head, at the same time, the leg goes back. Extending. Pressure. Score. Back under the arms. Okay? Just a kind of a live situation to show you what I'm talking about. Pat hits, go ahead and go inside control. Just hit, there you go. Pat hits, bump. Score. Okay, so here's the motion again. He's hitting a high crotch, I'm hitting him, bumping him. Pop him, pull the hips back to create space. Okay, move his head to the middle, just rotating it straight down. As we rotate it straight down, that leg goes back. I drop that hip straight to the mat, right here. Boom, boom. Okay, so we're dropping that hip straight back, right here. Pop, here, cover, hips. And remember, don't get in a hurry to get around him. Just take those short steps. Keep that pressure on him and keep that pressure on that head right here. I'm always covering the head. Okay, right here. Always covering the head. Now you're going to find that when we discuss some of these situations, that you need to know the difference of where your hips are. Okay? And when I see wrestlers at all levels, the problem that a lot of wrestlers have is they don't know where their hips are. They don't know what they can do, okay? It's real easy for me to butt drag from right here, okay, and walk around the guy, okay? But all of a sudden, he starts to back out on me, and I end up chasing his knee. And we're going to discuss that a little bit more as we go along here, but Know the difference. This is everything that we're discussing right now is hips on the head, pressure on the head. Meaning he's here, and I'm scoring from here. My butt drag, clamping on, moving my feet around, coming underneath. Okay? That's from a high crotch position. Now, there's a lot of different things that you can do, and I think that's the safest, is always trying to put that head back to the inside here. Now, sometimes we get in situations when a guy's in and we can't bump him, and he may even be coming up on me, okay, in this position. Come on up. He starts to drive across, and maybe I'm losing the position here, okay? Not so much in this position, but if you ever find yourself here, go back down, Pat, or you can't really bump him and he's moving you here, always remember, from a high crotch position, blocking that elbow is extremely important. Try to keep this guy from changing off to two. Because a lot of times that's what he's wanting to do, is hit his high crotch, change across, Pat. Okay? Block that elbow down right here. Okay? Now, to get into a little bit more non-traditional defense, one of the very easiest moves if you develop, for you guys that are a little bit more flexible, have a little bit more length, is what we call a sit through. And all we're going to do is I'm going to turn my foot in, just like that. I'm going to turn my foot in and sit right to my hip. And as I do that, I'm going to really punch this hip to the mat, my right hip to the mat right here. Okay? I'm going to create that angle. And what I want to do is slip that shoulder right here. Okay? And you see what I've done. And you see a lot of people doing this. Okay? And just showing you what actually takes place with this. This is scrambling defense. Guys that just are determined not to give up the takedown. Once we get to this position here, okay, we still haven't scored. Our leg could be trapped underneath. I want to lock right here in the crotch. If I don't lock, I just want to butt drag and post this hand. I'm going to show you both ways. Once I lock, and of course, if I'm wrestling collegiately, I'm thinking of the 2 points that I'm going to get for the takedown. First thing I want to do is I don't want to lift here. You see a lot of guys lifting. Lifting don't do me any good unless I'm wrestling freestyle and exposing his back. Collegiate, I got to score my points, so I'm going to lock, but then I'm going to drive across him. I'm going to drive across him here and bring this leg out, okay? And now score my points, all right? So he's hit here. But again, turning that knee out, okay? Foot goes in right here as he hits. I get right here. Sometimes you'll really slip his shoulder here, okay? If he's back on me here, okay, a little bit more. I got to get to his crotch. Don't lift. Go across him. I'm going right straight across with my head and chest. I'm going right over the top of him. Right here, straightening that leg out, scoring my points. Okay, back in. Okay, or if I get here, I can post. If I don't feel comfortable with that lock, I can post. If I got a guy that wants to flip over me, I'm probably going to post here. Go ahead and drop your hips down a little bit. There you go. Right here. And all I'm going to do is the same thing. I'm just going to plant this back foot and drive across him. Right here. Post that hand out. Or pull that leg out from underneath, straighten it, extend it, and score my points. So just a quick example of what I'm talking about on the sit through. So the guy takes the shot, okay? I'm sitting. Okay, scooting him. Scoot, 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 pressure across. So all it is, again, is when he takes that high crotch shot, I'm sitting. He hits, he's in deep, I might be fighting. All of a sudden, I'm going to do this with my leg. Sit right down on my hip. Take my butt to my heel. Okay, get it closer. I want to keep that leg bent. Okay, it's right here. He hits, right here. Pull that leg in. Okay, and what we're trying to do is get him forced over the top of that leg. And it's a great scrambling position when as far as defense is concerned, is winning those scrambles and actually putting your opponent in. Remember how I discussed earlier in the video, know the difference from where your hips are. A guy may shoot, boom, I sprawl back, my hips are directly on his head. Yeah, butt drags, those type of things are easy. But a lot of times against a better wrestler, you're going to end up sometimes, this guy backing out on you, you're going to end up sometimes with his head, your chest covering his head. Now, once your chest covers his head, we're in a whole different situation. You're not going to sit there and butt drag, and you're definitely not going to walk around him. Okay, so we're going to have to either bring him back down to our hips, or develop some good front headlocks or some good front body locks. But make no mistake about it, okay? First line of defenses should always be your butt drag. It's still the best move out there. Getting those hips extended back, getting to the high back of the hamstring or to a butt drag and walking around. There's still nothing better than that. I would much rather prefer to be defending right here, putting the pressure down on his head and walking around him. But it's not always the case, and I'll show you what I mean. Pat takes a shot here on a high crotch, okay? Takes the high crotch shot, and I go to defend him. Maybe I bump him, put his head to the middle, I get extended back here. And now he starts to back out. And all of a sudden, I end up here, okay? I'm not going to run around him. What I'm going to do from this position is I'm going to steering wheel him back down to my hips. So from here, all I'm going to do is withdraw from him. I'm just going to take a little short step back. I'm in his armpits right here. Notice my arms. Same way over here. It looks like this. I'm just going to take a little bit of withdrawal back, and I'm going to pop him forward. And I'm going to steering wheel him. All I'm going to do is pop, pop. Okay, I'm going to buckle him to his elbows, and I'm going to put my hips right back on the head and get ready to go back into that butt drag. Back up just a little. Okay, so from here, okay, right here. Back, boom, boom. Butt, ankle, okay. Walking around, okay. So again, when we end up here, most guys will resort to a front headlock, okay, which I think is sometimes a very tough move to score with against a good wrestler. What I want you to see people doing, or especially my guys, is I want them to stand locked in here, and I want them to withdraw and bump them forward right here. Put them back to those hips. Now go back to the butt, walk around, score points. Short steps, short steps, short steps, okay? So again, he shot a high crotch. I put him back here. He's withdrawing right here. I catch him. Boom, boom. I can go this side too. Okay. Now, body lock. Okay. If I get in a body lock situation here, okay, and I want to step around him, all right, I've slid my head to, my chest is covering his head. I know that my chances of walking around him are very slim unless I can put him back down to my hips. Okay. All I'm going to do is lock on here. Right at his chest, okay? Now, when I lock, I keep my elbows behind his triceps, meaning when I lock, I'm pulling those elbows up. And what I want to do is, once I lock here, I want to pull one elbow high and block right here. See, I collapse that? So I'm actually taking my right arm right here, and I'm taking it a little bit long, right here, okay, in this position. And I'm locking right over the top of that tricep muscle right here. Post it out there, Pat. Okay, and now I break it down. And once I break it down, I high step. Okay, and when I high step, I'm collecting his elbow up here. I'm burying that knee in there, coming back to my butt, coming back around, getting underneath his arms. Okay, make a half turn. So again, I'm here, in this position, deep arm. Okay, I'm blocking right over the top. I crowd. Bust his arm down. When I step, I make a high step. Okay, and now I want to plant that knee. I don't care if he reaches inside and hooks that. Okay, the more he does that, the better this executes out. So from here, I'm going to release. Come right here. I'm going to extend that leg straight. Come back underneath the arms. Okay, back up. So again, I'm here. He's posting up. He may be trying to get out of here. Okay, you might be trying to back out. Crowd, step, plant, reach. Okay, come back underneath the arms. Score points. Okay, we've covered a lot of things on the mat. A guy getting to a high crotch, bumping him, putting him to the mat, single leg, everything's on the mat. Let's discuss when we get a leg in the air, especially a single leg. Guy pulls his leg up. Anytime you feel yourself with the leg up here in this position, there's a lot of different theories to this, but what I've seen the most successful here is making sure here that we want to keep that leg to the outside as much as possible, okay, in this position, okay. In here, it just seems that we have a lot of different techniques. Your opponent has a lot of different techniques. Run the pipe, change to two, Okay, it seems a little bit tougher sometimes balance-wise. And the reason I like to take this leg out and hook it here, it gives me a little bit more balance. It allows me to turn a little bit if I need to turn. But anytime a leg comes up here, what I want to do is I want to go right to his wrist. And when I go to his wrist, I'm going to drop my shoulder underneath his chin, right here. Okay, and all I'm going to do from here is I'm going to pull, and as I pull this wrist, I'm also controlling this tricep on the opposite side. I'm just going to bust it right here. Okay, turn around, single leg. He's here. I like to hook that leg to the outside, right here. Control, drop. Okay, right here. Now my shoulder's under his chin, and from here, all I'm going to do is explode straight up and drive this leg to the mat. Drive this foot to the mat right here. Boom. Now you're in position. If you're a headlock person, you're in position to hit him with a headlock right here. Okay, right here. Which I'm not a headlock guy, but you can hit it. Pat hits a good one. Okay, back in here. All right, he's here, locking. Notice that I'm kind of throwing a wizard in on this opposite side, and I'm using that as I'm pulling up here, dropping, popping. Okay, come back here, or even in this position. Okay, as I pop it here, I can drop right into a single leg. Okay, in that position. So, again, here, guys, pull the leg up, get in good position. He's holding it here, right here. Get to that wrist. Boom. Okay, pop. Single, or clearing the position. Okay, great defense to a single leg. Another one here, legs coming up here. Okay, you find yourself maybe hopping along here. Anytime he's trying to move you, create an angle to him. Don't stay square to this guy. If we get our leg caught in the middle, he might be pinching our knees off right here, pinching his knees off, and he starts to run the pipe. He starts to run. Make sure we turn our hips. Okay, don't stay square or you're going to go right to your butt. Okay, so from here, if he starts to run it, okay, we're going to turn. Now, what we're going to do is a little limp leg. I'm a little bit hesitant to show this. You have to have good limber knees to be able to do this. Fortunately, I've had them, and there's a lot of people that do. But we're going to do what we call a limp leg. We're going to turn our body to him, and we're going to limp leg out, meaning that from where his lock is, okay, right here, I'm going to slide it to the ankle. And I'm going to bring everything to the mat, okay? So from here, in this position, I'm going to turn, I'm going to reach, and as I reach, I'm going to drive this leg through, okay? He'll probably keep a hold of it, all right? But I'm going to pull him to the mat. And at the same time, on the opposite side, take a half circle. At the same time, I'm going to get a deep wizard in here, right here. So he's here, I'm turning. From here, I'm going to reach out and pull him to the mat right here. Now, he still has the leg. Make a half turn again. Right here. He still has the leg right here. Okay? In this position. Now, from here, I want to crowd him, and straighten that leg out. Okay? Back up. So again, he's here, legs up. He's pulling the leg in, pulling it top. There you go. He's here, right here. See what I just did? I'm sliding it. Boom. Okay? I slid it right out of his hands. Now from here, you still haven't scored. Now there's one or two things. Then pull that leg in. We're not going to square back up with him when he's below my knee here. So what I'm going to do is, this is a deep arm here, or I'm going to go to his ankle. But with this deep arm, I'm just going to crowd him, as I straighten that leg out. Okay, make a half turn, Pat. Back in on the leg. Right here. See where I'm at? I'm going to crowd him. Okay, get it tight. Okay. Right there. Crowd him. Straighten it. Bump, bump, bump. Straight. And then come around. Okay. A lot of things. Don't land in that position. What I don't like in that position is guys get there and they just trying to get a stalemate, you know. Once you get to that position, go score, you know. Even though he's below the knee here, okay, you're still in good position. You need to have those flexible knees or you're going to be real limited. You don't have flexible knees, you don't do this, okay? But from here, I'm going to bump, reach here, bump. As I push into him off that foot, I'm driving here, and now I straighten that leg out. I'm just trying to get a little separation. Remember, that arm's not as strong as my leg. And once I get that separation, it's coming back underneath the arms. Okay? Right here. If you're real flexible, I've seen guys drop their hip over the top, reach to that far ankle, right here. and start to bump him. Okay? You need to be flexible with that. So again, get in there. He's here. Okay? We're going to fall over the top here. As we fall over the top, he pops his head out. Bump. Score. Get your head higher than his. We've covered a lot of positions where we're put our opponent in there. Now we're going to go back and kind of reverse order here and discuss what do we want to do on the sprawl. How do we learn how to drop our hips? How do we learn how to react? One of the best things I've ever found was a sprawl drill, and I actually spent some time over in the Soviet Union when it was old Soviet Union. I actually saw a 13-year-old kid doing this little drill on the mat during a Little League practice and picked it up right there. And a lot of it's just makes a lot of sense to me how we learn how to get hip pressure. And all we're doing with this is we're doing what we call a hand sprawl, or and learning to pick our feet up. Sprawl is about picking our feet up. And we got to remember that most of the time when we sprawl, if you watch film or video, you're going to see a lot of people do this right here. A guy goes to shoot on us. We want to put all of our pressure on our toes. And when we put all of our pressure on our toes, we want to lift our butt up to get our legs back. I'll give you an example. The situation's right here. Guy shoots, high crotch, we put pressure on our toes, extend our legs straight, and we pop our butt up and kick our legs back. Okay? Now, there's no problem with that, but every time we land without hip pressure, meaning that my knees are on the mat, I have no hip pressure. Okay? And also, you know, you're losing a lot of speed with learning to get your legs back quickly. Now, what I want to show you is that we never change levels. We always keep our knees bent, or excuse me, we do change levels, but we always keep our knees bent. Okay? We never go to our toes and extend our legs straight here. Okay? So again, from here, right here, when we sprawl, we go from here. Leg goes back. We learn to pick our feet up, drop our hip to the mat. Okay? Quickly. All right? And the way, a good drill to help you learn how to pick your feet up is what we call a hand sprawl drill. All we're doing is dropping our leg back, posting our hand. Learning to get our hands down blocking, posting the leg up, picking that leg up. Here. Okay? Not actually going to the mat, just learning to pick our feet up. Okay? Okay? And then you learn to develop that speed of getting those legs back quickly. So just a hand sprawl. Going right, going left. Okay? Now, when we want to sprawl to the mat, we want to make sure that we always keep our head up. We have a tendency when we sprawl that we lay our head and chest over the top of our opponent. Meaning this, a guy shoots, we may sprawl right, but we do this. Okay, we're looking down at him. Where we always should be here. Now that's a totally different situation with our hip pressure. Okay? And keep in mind this, when we wrestle better opponents, there's always that second effort that's going to get you. Meaning that a guy shot a single leg, I stopped him. Now what I do defensively right there with my hip pressure depends on whether he's going to be able to suck that leg in and try to finish it on up. Even though I took him out of position, a great wrestler is going to keep coming at you in that position. Now, what you want to make sure is you're stopping him. And the only way to stop him dead in their tracks right there is hip pressure. Hips do the pressure, head comes up. So when we sprawl, we never want to end up looking at our opponent. We want that head up, hips in. Pressure. Okay? Flat. Shoelaces flat. Definitely the thigh flat on the mat. Here. Pressure. So when I do this drill to help me learn to keep my hip pressure in, every time I sprawl, my arms go extended, my head's up. Okay, here. Shoot, boom. Head up, extended. Now just develop that habit through that drill. Guy shoots a high crotch, maybe I'm going to create an angle and sprawl, or shoots a single leg. Okay, just whatever we're doing. Hips down, quick feet go back, hips go down. Never raise that butt up. And a good way of developing this, Pat, is when I tell Pat to sprawl, I'm just going to place my hand on his head. Okay, he's in a position. Pat's going to sprawl. If he moves this up any, That means he's putting all of his pressure on his toes, he's throwing his legs back, and he's trying to jump back. Okay, go. Nothing. He just goes straight to the mat. Okay? Speed. Boom. Okay, we don't want this. We don't want this. Okay? So again, I'm going to sprawl, post out, head and chest up. Watch my elbows, they never bend. Here. Up. Getting those legs back. Okay? Pat a couple times. Show you a little different. And he's got great hip pressure. Okay? So, great little drill. Now, to learn how to score from our butt drags, we're going to move our feet in a circle. We're going to add something to this drill. So when I sprawl, I'm going to circle. I'm going to picture that guy shooting, me sprawling, and now I'm going to put the points on the board. Doesn't do me any good stopping the guy out in front of me. Score the points, okay? I hate to see guys hit good sprawls, stop the guy out in front of him, or a guy taking a bad shot, we stop him out in front of it, and we don't put no points up. Remember, you can score defensively. It's just as many points as a good single leg or a good double leg or a good high crotch or anything. So we're going to score our points. Guy shoots, I sprawl, I'm going to score. Here, shoot. Now from here, I'm pitching, he's underneath me here. I'm going to score. So it's the short steps. Keep those hips in, move those feet. Come right back up to your feet. Of course, we're going to score the points. If Pat was in on my leg here, he shot. My drill's this. Boom. Boom. Okay, putting those points up. And that's what this drill gives you. Sprawl and score. Do it a couple times. Good. Okay, keep in mind that we want to keep that hip pressure in. So when I sprawl here, keep those hips in. Keep those hips in. Switching those hips. I've dropped to my right hip. Okay, I'm switching to my left hip and moving my feet. Great little drill. And develop that, work that drill over and over again. You're going to find yourself with great sprawls and easy scores of this video. A great defense creates a great offense. Having confidence in your defense will create confidence in your offense. Now we'll go back and say one more thing. Hip pressure is everything. If you don't develop the hip pressure, you're going to have a hard time ever really scoring defensively. It's everything about your defense. Once you develop that hip pressure, you can go to a variety of things because you've stuck that guy in the mat. And I've seen it over and over again. Guys with great hip pressure, you find them in those defensive situations and scoring points. And we got to keep in mind that scoring defensively is still two takedowns. It's the same as a single leg. It's the same as a double leg. I'm not saying that you need to be a defensive wrestler, but I will say this. If you create a good defense, it's going to allow you to be much more aggressive with your offense. Good luck to the coaches. Good luck to you athletes.